So, welcome back to Great Scott Marcus, another episode here on Ramble Entertainment, the second Ramble for this episode. I think we're on 29.
That's kind of fitting.
Yeah, it is. So, this entire episode will still go up next week because I'm not going to post it this coming week so this pertinent kind of ramble won't go up until next week either. So our kind of conversation over this might be a bit behind. That's okay. This shit happens. Mark,
Yes.
so recently, basically what's been going on, what we've been talking about for about the past year on this channel, a bit over a year on this channel. There's been a fight over internet privacy, and last year the FCC kind of stood up for the everyman, the consumer, the citizen, not the business, and said ISPs, internet service providers, can't share user information. And now, of course, with a conservative House, a more business-friendly House, Senate, White House, basically they are reversing this. And in my mind, this is a fight that's probably never, ever, ever going to end. There probably won't ever be a Roe v. Wade of consumer rights versus business rights on this, where there is a definitive court ruling. I could be completely wrong on that. However, the reason I bring this up is because I think that this is just going to forever continue to swing back and forth. Much like we have cultural issues, much like we have opinion issues, this is a cultural and opinion issue, where basically now it looks like unless... And Donald Trump, I do want to say, I think he is a man of the people in a sense. Like that.
We'll find out shortly what he does for this.
He's very... You look at what he's doing right now, he's like, he goes out and he gets rallies, campaign rallies, and he's already the fucking president, and it's just like, you're campaign rallying. So like, there is this sense of like, he loves being out and among the people. So in my mind, he is a people person, but he's also a business fucking man. And so like, he is the last obstacle to this. Basically, this bill will roll back blocks that the FCC put into place that prevent Verizon, Comcast, Time Warner, blah, blah, from sharing your personal information that they obtain as a service provider to you. And, so let's just dive into it. Where's your head at? Just talk to me.
It's sad. I mean, the thing that I was thinking about mostly is we've talked about this before in regards to technology and privacy. You know, it's like to have certain technologies at our disposal, whether it's our phones, our computers, our Amazon Echo like I have, or Google Home, whatever, any of those things like that, you are basically giving up a part of your privacy for these certain conveniences, which I think we both also came to the conclusion that we kind of accept that. Nothing is going to be, completely private, and you'll be able to have all these conveniences of my phone knowing where I'm at and how long it's going to take me to get home from there. Like, it doesn't make any sense. Now, the issue with this is usually the buck just stopped there. I could get on the internet and do whatever searches I wanted to, and I had Time Warner, which is now Spectrum. They had that information, and they did nothing with it. They couldn't, and that's okay. That's good, because that means that it's between me and somebody else, and it's almost like, kind of like a HIPAA agreement almost. It's just like they can't do anything with it. They can't share it with anybody publicly, privately, or in a business sense, really. Unless I'm doing something illegal, but that's something else. But it's just like, this is directly... It's in the mindset of just the big businesses so they can get more money on advertisements, and that's just bullshit. Like, we're talking about the communications division of this country, which is like you said, AT&T, Comcast, Time Warner,
basically,
Verizon.
Facebook could target you more with ads.
Well, and these companies don't need more money. Like, they are like some of the richest in this country. And they have the poorest customer service.
That is definitely where I agree on this. Where it's just like, you're already making bank. It's just like, do you really need this reason to make more? as you mentioned, they already make so much money, and yet the infrastructure in this country is far and away behind than by comparison to other countries as far as data is concerned for phones, as far as cabling is concerned for cable, internet, and phone in home. And I think that there was I forget her name, but she was basically speaking to a committee at the federal level, and she was talking about how removing these restrictions are for the consumer, and it's just
there's absolutely no reason for that. Like, it's not. There's nothing that's going to benefit you or I or anybody else watching the show off this agreement.
Verizon or my cable provider knowing that I look at porn, or knowing that I'm Googling about kikes, our family bird, is not going to benefit me in any way. Honestly, I'm not buying another bird. I don't know how you're going to service me by knowing I look at porn.
Well, I think like what their mindset is like, well, almost any website you go to is going to have an advertisement on it, and instead of useless advertisements, now they're useful advertisements. But it's like, who gives a shit? Nobody wants advertisements.
In fact, I actually hate useful advertisements. I hate catered advertisements more than I like. Yeah, then I hate regular advertising. Basically, because when I can't help but remember Facebook back in college when basically I was actually going on like a series of dates, and I must have like not realized what I was posting as far as like what was on my Facebook, the things I was saying. But all of a sudden, like all of these like dating and singles sites like started popping up, and I was just like, yeah, I guess I have been dating around, and I was just, and it like irked me deep down that just like something out there, some kind of algorithm, some kind of advertising method knows that basically I'm single, and that I'm, I was seeing this girl, and then I stopped seeing her and started seeing this girl, and then it was basically, I think, a series of like 3 girls within about 5 months. And yeah, I don't know, that's the only, I guess, reasoning that I can see for it, unless at that point in time they knew I was looking at porn and they were just like, he must be single. So that could be it too.
I don't think those two are mutually exclusive.
But indeed. But either way, like, it's just this like sense of just like something has slipped into your life where it's just like, and something out there knows that this facet of your life has kind of just turned in a little way, and they want to take advantage of that, and not where it's just like, oh, we're trying to help you. No, it's just like, you're just trying to earn money off of this kind of these kind of chemical firings in my brain as of late. And yeah,
well, it's not even, I don't even think it's that complicated. I think Facebook's kind of its own little like sphere of information gathering and advertisements.
Yep.
I mean, it's like,
but Facebook could obtain more information on you now through your ISP.
Right, exactly. Like I don't. Before I get into that, like for example, I could be on like Nordstrom or Express on their website, like looking at a jacket or a shirt, and then I get on Facebook not 2 minutes later, and then that shirt is like a banner ad on their site. It's like, God damn it! Like why are you showing me this? Like, no, I don't really want to buy it. That's why I left that site to come here. Like, quit it.
Yeah.
But I think what's more annoying now is like, so what if, I'm looking at that stuff, and now all of a sudden I turn on my TV, if I had cable, which I don't, thank God, and like now I'm just seeing like all the same advertisements, or yeah, YouTube will do it now. All the same advertisements. It's just like, God damn it, like that's not the point. Like,
yeah,
it doesn't need to happen.
It's
like
almost akin to, okay, so here's a great example. When cell phones, really started cropping up and being popular, and when high school kids started getting them and middle school kids started getting them, I was in the mall getting glasses, and I stepped out to talk on the phone, and I think it was like Virgin, or like one of those maybe one of the ones that died, one of the cell phone providers that died, and their salespeople were so fucking sleazy. I'm standing here on my goddamn phone, and this guy's just like, "Hey, come over here. Come on, come over. Hey, come on. Hey, I know you see me. Come over here." This is literally what this guy was saying. It's basically like walking into a store and the salesperson from the prior store followed you. That's how this like catered advertising could work, where it's just like, yeah, you're shopping online for clothes. You leave one site, go to another site, and it's banner ad across the top, ads down the side of like Nordstrom's, and you're on H&M's website or something. Is H&M still around, by the way?
I think so, yeah.
Okay. I'm fitting back into a pair of their pants now, and because I can't do too much with my legs, I don't have a nice ass anymore. but these pants, they make it happen. So I was like, I need to get back to H&M.
Yeah, but I believe they're still around. I mean, I haven't been to the mall in a while and seen them, but I think so. Yeah. Yeah.
I'll have to find out. Anyway, so I guess the final thing I kind of want to touch on with this is circling back to Trump. He is the only thing now that stands in the way of this. And I think this also comes back to kind of what Republicans look like when they run the government. Not just with this, but even with the healthcare bill, where it minimalizes the government's input, standing in the way of businesses. And I'm not saying that I'm for big government. I'm not saying I'm for small government, but I think that here we can see what happens where small government kind of fails. Because, again, I don't think there's any consumer out there, except for those that probably want to place the argument just like, well, if you have nothing to hide. Well, it's just like, it's not about hiding shit. It's about, like, kind of staying private. It's just like, okay, so you don't lock your doors at night? So you don't lock your car when you go places? Like, privacy is important. Security is important. Staying secure in what you consume, the information you put out there. Like, these things are important. You're not posting on Facebook that, okay, I'm going to go, spray graffiti downtown right now. Like, privacy is important. Obviously, spraying graffiti is something wrong. So I'm trying to find an example that's, kind of private, but not illegal.
It's really funny. Is like,
did you go spray graffiti downtown?
We've discussed, watching porn. Like, you ever notice on certain porn sites where it's just like shared to Facebook? Like, who the fuck is gonna do that?
Wait, what?
Oh yeah,
that's a thing.
I've seen it. It's funny. But the point is, you wouldn't do that.
Yeah, that actually is the example then. Like, you're not going to go post to Facebook, okay, going to go jack off now. Like, yeah.
It's like teen mom gets gangbanged by neighbor's boyfriend. Like, what? Share it on Facebook.
Fuck? Teen mom. Anyway, so...
Oh, the porn titles are hilarious. Come on.
Yeah, there's some that are just like fucking. There's some that are weird as hell too. Like, sometimes you'll find one where it's just like boyfriend and girlfriend make love, and then you'll like find the exact same video where it's just like brother bangs sister real hard or some shit, and it's just like they're not that. He's clearly of even a different skin. Like, can we just? Not
they're stepbrothers and sisters.
Yeah,
though.
Can we not? Stepbrother. Oh my god. We should move on. Anyway.
Well, away from the porn, but I do like.
Yeah, I don't want this ramble to turn into porn. We have a ramble that's about porn.
Yeah. And also, we don't want to. I know we've said before about like politics, but that's kind of what this is even narrowing down. There is another Verge article that I had pulled up. It basically lists the members of Congress that have all over time accepted money from content providers, AT&T, Comcast, Verizon.
Yep.
And I hate to say it, but every member on this list is not Democratic, which is bullshit. That's, I don't know, like to be able to be bought out like that, and just kind of proves that they're not for the people. Like, there's no fucking way
Here's
that they're for the
here's a
people if
great
they're like
example.
selling out our privacy for, I mean, from $9,000 to $71,000 in campaign funds. Like, it's just like,
Here's a great example that I do want to actually step away from porn. Because, unfortunately, we kind of talked about that a lot in this one. Here's a great example of just like, okay, I've slept really well this week. I have work tomorrow. I'm going to stay up and play Overwatch. I don't play Overwatch. I'm going to stay up and play Warframe until 3 a.m. And I'm going to get about 4 to 6 hours of sleep, but I know I can run off that. And you do. You completely do, and everything is fine. Work is handled properly, and you go home and you rest. You eat dinner and then you rest. But putting that information out there, so like this is also a perfect example of like employers who want to know what you're doing on Facebook, know what you're doing on Twitter, things like that, where it's just like Jim was up playing until 4 a.m. and then he came in at 8 or 9 since he needed 4 hours and an hour to get ready and an hour to drive in. And it's just like, but what does it fucking matter? That person is allowed to do what they want, but it's also this kind of these judgments that can come with it, and that in itself is problematic and kind of endemic of this systemic issue within our culture, where it's just like we have way too many things where it's just jump to fucking conclusions. In fact, there should be a game, Jump to Conclusions, Matt. And it's just like
that's an Office Space.
Yeah, I thought that was.
Okay.
And yeah,
Jump to Conclusions, Matt.
Was it literally called that? I thought it was something else. Okay.
He's like, God, that is a horrible idea. Just terrible.
It is, and that itself is endemic of the problem, where it's just like, fine, we have now crossed into businesses can consume your information. Does this mean that your employer can now be privy to what you're doing at any time of day or night?
Well, that's frightening too. That almost seems like for example, I'm very active on Twitter, and I've bitched about my job a number of times, but it's my private Twitter. It has nothing to do with my work account. Like, now that basically Spectrum can know what I'm saying and sell that information to an advertiser, can they also sell it to my employer? That would fucking suck.
Exactly. Say a student is actually, working a full-time job while being a student, and they only have their morning hours open up, and someone needed a shift covered in the evening. And instead of telling their employer that they can't, they have schoolwork, and instead they're actually just taking a break for once. I know a lot of students can also be lazy, but some students are, like very avid about like, being active and being employed and et cetera at all. And instead, they took a break. They watched a movie on Netflix, and instead the employer has access to that information. That's not okay. Like, that's not okay for employers to be in charge of all facets of our life. And there are employers that want to do that. I'm thankful that mine don't. But
same.
Yeah. So
I'm not saying that that's gonna happen, but
no.
It just basically, this is opening the door to situations like that can indeed happen.
Well, it comes back to that. Well, if if you're doing nothing wrong, well, the question is how people define wrong things.
Right.
Like an employer will define, well, you could have come in and you didn't, as being wrong. Or sometimes they'll define that as being wrong, not always. And I think that's, we have to be very careful with this stuff. And I feel odd admitting that I think that Trump could actually turn this down. He could actually say that this needs to be better. It would be lovely.
It would be.
I won't be surprised if he doesn't. If there won't be any shock and awe or outrage in me.
Right. I'd be more shocked if he actually went against it, to be honest.
I would be. I'd be shocked, but also obviously pleased. But also, we've also talked about how like privacy is in your own hands. Doing things like going into a private browsing mode. This doesn't exactly block you from
Well, they say that right away.
Yeah.
It's like your ISPs can still see what
Exactly.
you're doing here. Just yeah.
But then you also have things like VPNs. VPNs can protect you. Kotaku was just advertising a VPN that's $4 a month for a virtual private network to connection to a virtual private network, which basically routes you through very dedicated and private servers, much like how your Gmail is protected.
Really?
Like your Gmail cannot be accessed by the federal government because it's protected by Google through particular facets of Privacy Acts. So yeah, there are particular things that will still be protected, but you can protect everything through like a VPN, and that's actually something that I am considering if my career, takes more of a computer-oriented path.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's kind of where I wanted to conclude on that. You ready to get into the next ramble?
Yeah.